The Brooklyn Nets are back in action on Saturday night when they host Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs as they look to end a three-game skid. Time to talk some Nets hoops, and we're going to do it with the nighttime host on WFAN and host of Talkin Nets podcast, my guy, Keith McPherson. Keith, what is going on?
Dax, what's up, man? What's going on? That's what all the Nets fans have been asking this whole season.
Yeah, you're right about that. That is the question. We're going to get into that. What is going on with Brooklyn? And we're going to start, Keith, with what the Nets did at the trade deadline. Out Spencer Dinwiddie and Royce O'Neal, in Dennis Schroeder and 3 second-round picks. What did you make of what the Nets did at the deadline?
You know, they say if you set your expectations low, you can't be disappointed. I think that's in your relationships. I think that's in life, and especially in your sports fandom. I wasn't expecting them to do anything. The Knicks made the move for Burks and Bogdanovich, and the Nets hadn't done anything yet. And I'm on Talkin Nets Twitter like they may do nothing. And there was a lot of us thinking they might do nothing. But first order of business was to get Spencer Dinwiddie out of here. His second tour with the Nets wasn't that great. Some said he was disgruntled. Some fans felt like he quit on the team. He said he didn't quit on the team, but we knew he didn't want to be here, and it wasn't working out. The fit and, for him on the team and him personally, you could tell he wanted out. So they get him out of here. He goes to Toronto. He gets waived, and rumor has it he's going to be a Laker. But they bring in Dennis Schroeder, and I think Dennis is a true point guard. I think Dennis is somebody that has won. He just played for the German team and over the summer, and they won, and he's a guy who's been on a bunch of teams and played in the NBA. He's a veteran. He knows how to run the point guard position, and that's what the Nets have been lacking. They have scorers. They have guys that can put it in the hoop, but they were relying on Spencer Dinwiddie, and they before that were relying on Ben Simmons. Now they get Ben back, but he's only good for 15 and 20 minutes off the bench. You expect Dennis Schroeder to, step in there and be a starter. Then, Royce O'Neal. Royce O'Neal was a guy that obviously was brought here for KD, and he gets to go reunite with KD, and they send him out to Phoenix for a couple second-round picks. I think about Dorian Finney-Smith. A lot of people speculated him to be sent to join Kyrie, and they didn't actually do that. I think the Mavs' price wasn't high enough. So ultimately, the Nets get Spencer out of here, get Royce out of here, an expiring contract, and a guy that didn't want to be here. And they add a point guard, and they add a couple other depth pieces. I think that they're looking down the line. They're looking to the future. This season is pretty much a wash. Whatever they can salvage out of it, they'll salvage out of it. But even listening to Sean Marks speak, they're thinking down the road a bit.
Yeah, seems like they're thinking down the road. The word I've been hearing is 2025 and beyond, and we'll see what the Nets do there. We're going to get into the future in a second, but I want to talk to you about some comments that we heard WFAN host Evan Roberts, your colleague. He called out Nets owner Joe Tsai, calling him, quote, a terrible owner, and also said that Tsai and GM Sean Marks need to, quote, pick a direction for the franchise. Do you agree or disagree with Evan's comments, and what is the direction of this Brooklyn team right now?
Evan is a longtime Nets fan, longer than I am even. And, this fan base has been literally tortured. Different owners, different coaches, different directions, different GMs, not being sure of what's to come. And I think really Evan, as a season ticket holder and someone that goes to these games, paying customer, has been going to games. He goes to playoff games. He goes to regular season games. He's upset right now because this owner has definitely put his ego in the way of the franchise, whether it goes back to Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And obviously Kyrie Irving earned his way out of here and earned, the organization not being able to trust him. This owner has come in and just said, I'm backing my guys. Even when one of his guys was Steve Nash, he stood behind Steve Nash, and they have a little side business, I think some lacrosse or something that they do. But ultimately, this owner doesn't seem like the owners we see in the NBA that are all in on basketball, like a Mark Cuban or even a Steve Ballmer. Like some of these guys that we know all they want to do is win. All they want to do is have superstar talent and make sure that they're at the top of the league. This guy, we don't know what he exactly wants. We haven't heard from him. We don't see him. And they kind of blew everything up after selling their souls to the superstars but then they didn't acquiesce. Then they didn't give the superstars what they wanted. And that's a double-edged sword, right? You bring Kyrie Irving here, he brings KD here, you literally are at his mercy. And as soon as he said he wanted out, you could have said, no, we're not trading you. But you thought that you could call his bluff and send him to Dallas. And then KD knocks on the door and is like, hey, I want out too. I only came here to play with Kyrie. And then you're left with literally no plan, because you had a plan thinking that since KD signed his extension, he was going to stay. So now you have this, team with a bunch of different veterans and young guys, and obviously it didn't work this first half. Now you get to this trade deadline, you had a couple more pieces, but I don't think anybody thinks that you're a contender if you make it to the play-in playoffs. Okay, the last 3 out of 4 years you made it to the playoffs just to be swept. The fans aren't having any fun with that.
Yeah, fans are not happy with this right now at all, Keith. And heading into Saturday night's game, the Nets, they are 2.5 games behind Atlanta for the final play-in berth in the Eastern Conference. Would you like to see, especially when you talk about where this team is right now, would you like to see this team at least make the play-in tournament? And if that is the case, what has to change for Brooklyn to get there?
You know, as a fan, you root for the team to win, right? When you're watching these basketball games, it's not fun to watch a losing effort. It's not fun to watch the Cleveland Cavaliers go on a 21-0 run coming out of the half. So, sure, I'm rooting for them to salvage the season, make the play-in, make the playoffs. Brooklyn's whole moniker was, we are playoffs. You know why? Because they thought they could stand on business and say, hey, we make the playoffs more than the Knicks. Just making the playoffs, what does that mean? You know, there's a bunch of teams that make the playoffs, and especially with the play-in, even more teams that make the play-in. So I guess I'm not rooting for them to lose, but I just don't think they're going to compete. I don't think they're going to contend. And if you're actually looking towards the draft and next year, put us out of our misery. So it goes both ways. Sure, you want them to compete and contend and make the play-in, potentially the playoffs, but you're also like, man, when will it end? We're over it already.
Yeah, fans are over it. Keith McPherson is over it. Evan Roberts is over it. And I think fans just want to know what the direction is. And that's something we will see what the Brooklyn Nets do going forward as they try to rebuild and retool this roster. That is Keith McPherson. Catch him on WFAN, weeknights, nighttime host. Also does a great job always talking about Nets hoops. Keith, appreciate you, man. Good to see you. Be well. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.